Hey everyone, welcome to Nintendo SwitchCraft episode 616. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about Nintendo possibly giving us a revision to the Nintendo Switch, purchasing next level games, what big first party game is coming in February, and my thoughts on the Monster Hunter Rise demo. Before we get to all of that stuff, make sure that you click on all of the YouTube buttons, and if you would prefer to listen to this show as a podcast, instead of watching it on YouTube, then head on over to nerdnest.tv/NSC for Nintendo SwitchCraft. Let's get started. Let's start off with the rumors of the Switch Pro, the latest rumors of the revision to the Switch hardware. We've already had a couple of revisions for the Switch hardware so far since the launch of the original Nintendo Switch on March 3rd, 2017. We then got the updated chip that uses less battery, so it ends up lasting longer. And we also had the Switch Lite. So in the firmware, there's usually references to these things ahead of time, and I guess there's a well-known console hacker and data miner named Series M, and I might be pronouncing that wrong. They posted some stuff, or some data mining stuff that they posted ended up over on the Resetera forums. Let's take a look at what they had to say. Some of it actually all of it I'm going to say take with a huge grain of salt. Just because there's information in firmware doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that we will ever see. Okay. The new hardware is codenamed Aula, or Aula. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's A-U-L-A. And it is using the Marico system on a chip. Now, according to the data miner, the Marico system on the chip has very, very substantially better cooling and battery life than our current Nintendo Switch. So, we've already seen an upgrade to the battery life once. This one might bring another. In addition, it's the Aula, the codenamed Aula system is supposed to be advertising itself as a 4K Ultra HD multimedia system on a chip, which is leading some people to say, well, hold on a sec. Maybe we're going to be able to play games on our Nintendo Switch in 4K. Is that possible? I don't know. Maybe it's anything's possible. I'm not going to say let's just throw this speculation out the window, but I do think it's unlikely. We had rumors a while back that Nintendo was telling their partners to start prepping things to have 4K ready. Make sure that you've got 4K stuff ready. But again, those are just rumors, as is this stuff. What I think is much more likely is that even if you can't play games in 4K, maybe the system will have an output resolution of 4K if you are watching a movie, perhaps, like maybe on Netflix or YouTube. And before anybody says, hold on, Bill, we can't watch Netflix on the Nintendo Switch, I completely understand and agree. That's true. But I think that that's probably going to happen sooner rather than later. And think about it. There's millions upon millions of Nintendo Switches have been sold. That's a big audience of eyeballs that Netflix, I'm sure, wants to get in front of. And I believe that we've just recently seen reports that Netflix will no longer be watchable on the 3DS or the Wii U coming soon, which tells me that probably Netflix is starting to take whoever's in charge of that kind of thing and maybe start working on making the Nintendo Switch version of Netflix. And we've seen in the past other platforms being able to play games at one lower resolution, but being able to stream video at higher resolution. So I do think that if this 4K Ultra HD UHD system on a chip, multimedia system on a chip, if they're kind of saying that Aula can do that, my guess is it's probably not for games. Though I would be very happy to be wrong about that. It would be really nice if it were 4K. However, keep in mind, it's also a portable system, and you're not going to have a 4K touchscreen on the Nintendo Switch. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't need to be that high of a resolution. I would say and I'm just guessing here, that if they were to upgrade the screen of the Nintendo Switch, the highest resolution that it would go to is 1080p, and much more likely that they would stick with 720p. I mean, look how long it took Nintendo to move away from the 240p or 480p resolutions that they used in the past. So I don't think that that's going to be happening. But there are rumors, according to our hacker here, that it's possible that there could be hardware in the dock of this new Nintendo Switch system, which would allow it to run higher resolution or higher frame rates when you have it docked. I don't know if I think that that's true or not. One of the benefits of a Nintendo Switch, well, I don't know how excited I would be about that, because one of the benefits of a Nintendo Switch is that it's portable and you can take it from room to room to room and put it into the various docks around your house and be able to play it on different screens. And if they have to put expensive hardware in these docks, then they're going to be more expensive. And I already think they're kind of too expensive at the point that they are now, which I believe is around $100. It might be like 80. I haven't bought one in years, but I'll find out what it is and tell you right there. But I do think that, you start putting that hardware in the dock, and that's going to drive the cost up of the dock. I'm curious. Let's say that it does have 4K for Netflix and stuff like that. Maybe a 1080p screen, rumored to be an OLED screen. Are you going to upgrade? Like, that's the big question. Are you going to upgrade your Nintendo Switch if it gives you a higher screen resolution in portable mode and an OLED screen and possibly a longer battery life? Although maybe it won't actually be a longer battery life because they're running at a higher resolution. Maybe they're increasing things but keeping the battery life the same. Let me know in the comment section down below. Let's move on. So this next story we already knew about, and I'm not sure why it showed up in my news feed again, but it was good to be reminded because I had forgotten about it. We have Super Mario 3D World is coming on February 12th. Well, it's Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Now, we still really don't know much about Bowser's Fury. It seems like it's a bunch of DLC stuff, which is cool. I'm not going to complain about that. Super Mario 3D World is basically the Nintendo Wii U version of Super Mario 3D Land, which was on the 3DS. Now, they're not the same game, but they're the same style of game, where it's not really it's a 3D Mario, but it's not an open world 3D Mario like Mario Odyssey. It's really more about a bunch of little tiny containers that you play in. The game is really fantastic. I played through it, completed it on the Wii U. I had a bunch of fun, and it's coming to the Nintendo Switch on February 12th. That's our next big first-party title from Nintendo, is Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, coming on February 12th. And I know that there's a lot of people who are mad that it's it's a remake or a re-release or whatever nomenclature that you want to give it, but with the Wii U only selling, what was it? I think 13 million, maybe 14 million. I think it's 13.6 million units worldwide lifetime sales, which is really, really bad. Not a lot of people got a chance to play this game, and it's a really, really good 3D Mario game. Again, it's not an open world. It's more of a little tiny world. Super Mario 3D World is very, very fun. You can play as Cat Mario or Cat Peach or Cat Luigi or Cat Toad. They have multiplayer online, which is really cool. I don't believe that the original had online gameplay, although it's Nintendo Switch Online, which means it's definitely going to be peer-to-peer. And if you have played, I would say, oh God, what is it? Mario Maker 2 online, you've experienced that, where somebody's probably on a hammock in their backyard. They've got one bar on their Wi-Fi signal and they're trying to play. And that means that everybody is frozen. So I expect that Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury online play will be pretty much the same as that, which is to say not great. But if you are looking for people to play with, look in the description down below and you'll see a Discord link of a whole bunch of people that want to play video games with you, so you can click on that. I loved this game. There's some really cool power-ups in it, like the double cherry, which duplicates Mario. So instead of being one Mario, you are now playing as two Marios at the same time. And then if you get another double cherry, now you're four Marios at the same time, and another double cherry, and so on and so forth. It's a really good game. So coming out on February 12th, is that a game that you're going to be picking up? Let me know in the comments section down below. And if you're looking for people to play online with, join our community Discord. I saw a bunch of headlines for this next story, and there were a lot of people talking about it, but honestly, I don't think it's going to be any kind of a big deal. It's definitely not going to be any kind of a big deal this year. And I honestly don't think it'll be a big deal next year either. Next Level Games was acquired by Nintendo. And, a lot of people are like, oh man, Nintendo is acquiring these companies. What are we going to see from them? Well, Next Level Games hasn't really been making games outside of Nintendo games for quite a long time. They've been responsible for things like Luigi's Mansion 3, Super Mario Strikers. So what am I excited for from this? Not really anything. I don't think much is going to change. They were going to continue to make games for the Nintendo systems, and now they probably just have more resources with which to do it. What would I really like to see from them? I would really like to see another Super Mario Strikers. If you've never played Super Mario Strikers, you absolutely should. Nintendo saw, I think there was a Sega soccer game that was made by Next Level, or the people who worked on it ended up at Next Level Games. Nintendo saw it and they really liked it, and they said, you know what, let's get these people to make us Super Mario Strikers. So they went and they hired Next Level Games to make Super Mario Strikers, which is a arcadey, non-simulation Mario soccer game, and it is really, really fun. I remember playing a bunch of it on the GameCube. Man, it was a long time ago. And I think there was even a sequel, which I never played, which is probably why we never got the threequel. I'm looking forward is the wrong term. I'm really hoping that we do get another Super Mario Strikers from Next Level Games, especially now that they are working directly for Nintendo, rather than just being a second-party game. I guess they're a second-party studio now, rather than being a third-party studio that only makes games for the Nintendo Switch. Which is your favorite Next Level game? Let me know in the comment section down below, and also let me know which games from Next Level Games would you like to see sequels of. I'm sure that we'll eventually get a Luigi's Mansion 4. That's going to be a long time down the road. But for me, it's got to be Super Mario Strikers 3 or maybe 2. I'm not sure. All right, 2 quick things before I get out of here. Number 1, Monster Hunter Rise demo. I've been playing it a bunch. I really like it. I do think that their tutorial still leaves a lot to be desired, but I am enjoying it. I'm going to make the same recommendation that I always do when it comes to Monster Hunter games. Go watch Gaijin Hunter. And if you want to know how to use the gun lance, then go watch the Gaijin Hunter tutorial on the gun lance. Right now, I don't think that he has those tutorials done yet because, we just got their hands on the demo. But it's a Monster Hunter game. And that means 3 things. Number 1, the tutorial is going to be terrible. Number 2, if you learn how to use this game, you're going to have a lot of fun with it. And number 3, it's a Monster Hunter game, which means that it is really deep gameplay, and you are going to be able to sink dozens and dozens of hours into this game. It's really, really fun, and I cannot wait to play more of it. But I did find myself really struggling to get my brain back into the Monster Hunter mode. Like, my biggest gripe with the demo was that the lock-on did not work the way that I wanted it to. So you hit the right stick in order to select the target that you're going to lock on, and then you hit the L button in order to lock onto the target. but it just kept losing the target, and I'm not sure if I was doing something wrong. If you know what I was doing wrong, let me know in the comment section down below. And then the last thing that I want to talk about before I get out of here is that the Nintendo Switch has now outsold the 3DS. If you go back to when the 3DS launched, oh my God, what a disaster. Nintendo priced it way too high, and because it was priced so high, it didn't sell very well at all. So what Nintendo ended up doing is they had the Ambassador program, which basically said, we're sorry. We're going to give everybody who bought the 3DS when it was more expensive a bunch of games that are exclusive to Ambassador program people. These were old Nintendo games running on the 3DS. Anyway, and then they dropped the price a lot. I think it was like $100, so it was a big discount. And then the thing just started flying off the shelves because it was such they hit the right price point. The original price point was way too high, and then they ended up hitting the right price point, and it was just flying off the shelves, which is great. The Nintendo Switch, in very little time, 3 years, has completely outsold the 3DS. Nintendo has sold 76,285,948 units of the Nintendo Switch as of 2011, which I can't believe that 2011, it was when the 3DS was around. It had sold 75,906,986 units. So well done, Nintendo Switch. If you look at the list of best-selling game consoles page on Wikipedia, as I'm recording this, the Switch's sales increased at the end of last year, which bumps it up to the 11th best-selling console of all time, which is behind the Game Boy, the Wii, and the Nintendo DS, not the 3DS, but the DS. The next cutoff is the top 5, which is 102 million units sold. I don't really think that that's outside the realm of possibility. I do think that Nintendo is going to hit that number quite easily. And maybe by the end of this year, in fact, probably before the end of this year, Nintendo will be in the top 5 best console sales of all time with the Nintendo Switch. That's it for me today. If you want to get a topic on the show, if you've got an idea for a topic for the show, head on over to nerdnest.tv/submit. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you click one of those buttons down below. And of course, hit the subscribe button and click on that bell so you get notified each and every time that I post a new show. If you are listening to this on the podcast, thank you very much for listening. And don't forget to go ahead, if you are on iOS, and review the show over on the iTunes store, the podcast store. I don't even know what they call it anymore. So just, you can review the show. Let everybody else know that you like the show. I'm out of here. I will see you guys next time. Until then, bye-bye.